Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. www.thebestdampodcast.tv. Follow me, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please guys, make sure to hit that like, give us a thumbs up, share this link, get it out there, spread it far and wide, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe. Click that bell, that way you guys get all of the notifications, and keep in mind guys, we are completely viewer powered. That means we're fully funded and supported by you, the listener and the viewer. So if you'd like to donate and support the channel, you could do so by going to the links in the description box below. PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App, or Facebook Messenger Pay. And to everybody that does donate, big ups, big thanks to you guys, man. We can't do it without you. You are so greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to book a tarot reading, the number for that, as well as the private and uncensored content playlist, is 513-393-2396, 513-393-2396, or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. Whether you're booking a reading or you just need your links, put in the header links or tarot reading. Or if you are paying for the reading, PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, make sure you put tarot reading in the notes. They are $50. Soul profiles $100. And if you'd like to join the Best Damn Fam and get all of the perks, that's $35 a month. And tomorrow night we will be doing the private Discord show. So this is going to be a donor-only show tomorrow night. Everybody who supports in the month of August will be able to watch the show, though, over on the Best Damn Podcast Discord. I don't care if you donated 50 cents. You're able to watch it live, but in order to get access to the entire playlist and all the perks that go with it, you have to join the Best Damn Fam, which is $35 a month. Big ups, big thanks to you guys. Let's see what we have in the chat, man. I've got a pretty good one for you guys. Dude, there's a lot of shit flying around right now. A lot of shit. Looks like we have Stool Purger, Higher Mind, 1111, Johnny, 925. Hey, I did make you a mod, Johnny. I seen you the other day in there. I'm like, man, he needs a wrench. Looks like we have Michael Chaffin, Mel O, Samuel, Johannes. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all of you guys. I hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. You know what? Each day, I think it gets more and more obvious that something is going on when it comes to space and the near proximity of the Earth. If we just looked at the Earth alone and the South Atlantic anomaly, which appears to the naked eye as if there is something that has a negative polarity that's actually pushing on the Earth's magnetic field, repelling our poles, pushing them towards Siberia, creating what we are now in the midst of and very close to, which is a magnetic reversal or a pole shift. Now, as a result of whatever is going on, it's not just happening on the Earth. Whatever large celestial body that is creating this magnetic reversal here on the Earth appears to be having effects on the sun as well. Each and every day, we see more and more intense solar activity creating geomagnetic storms, and these solar flares, they're getting bigger and bigger, wilder and wilder, and they are more and more of a threat to the electrical grid, and they are creating more and more of an effect on the magnetic field, creating flux in the field, allowing all of this radiation in, allowing for this chaotic weather, which is all being chalked up to climate change. It's all being chalked up to it's your car and it's your fault, right? It's your carbon footprint that's creating all these things. It couldn't possibly be coming from space. But yet again, yet again, after more of these meteor showers that continuously go by and we get hundreds and hundreds of fireballs passing over, these absolutely stunning auroras from the different gases that are getting trapped at the top of the ionosphere, massive sinkholes all the way across the globe, cyclones, tornadoes, right? You name it, landslides, mudslides, and that's not even adding in the seismic and volcanic activity. We have yet another large-ass asteroid that is passing within close proximity to the Earth. And what I have on the screen right here for you guys, this is Eyes on Asteroid. This is NASA. This one's actually pretty close. This is 2020 QW3, and I wanted to show you guys, this is real-time tracking of these asteroids, and you guys can actually see there are quite a few bodies here. 2015 QH3, 2022 QR, and 2017 BU, which looks like it's headed right towards us. And with this tool, we can actually see in real time, you know, the asteroid watching and how close some of these objects actually are. Now, we're going to go over here real fast. Huge asteroid, clocked at an amazing 64,800 kilometers per hour. Now, this sets up the close encounter with the Earth on August the 22nd. You guys just seen that on the asteroid tracker, which we have another large one passing today. NASA has warned that asteroid 2020 QW3 has been observed heading for Earth at staggering speeds, but it will miss Earth by just a few million miles. Now keep in mind too, here, let's go back over here. This is 2020 QW3, right? Now keep in mind that these objects can be affected. Most of them are made up of different types of metals, so they can be affected by the magnetic field of the Earth. For one, we can have different fluctuations in the field that would pull it closer or repel it further away. Not to mention, solar weather could actually have an effect as well. And we have to factor in that there's also different sorts of space debris. They all have ionized tails, and they are all magnetic when they're traveling through space. So any little thing could bump this shit off course, and a few million miles may sound like a lot to you, but it's really nothing in terms of space. A 92-foot wide asteroid named asteroid 2020 QW3, which is nearly the size of an aeroplane, will just miss the Earth on August the 22nd. The close encounter between the Earth and the asteroid will happen at 6:41 a.m., according to NASA. Now, although it will not collide with the Earth, it will pass close enough to Earth, and therefore it has attracted the attention of NASA. Asteroid 2020 QW3 is different from previous asteroids that it has flown past the Earth recently, as it does not belong to the Apollo group of asteroids, but the Amor group. The asteroid orbits around the Sun, taking almost 732 days to complete one orbit. The asteroid 2022 QW3 will fly past on the 22nd at 6:41 at a distance of 3.3 million kilometers at a staggering speed of 64,800 kilometers per hour. Now, although NASA has stated that this asteroid will not pose a viable threat on Earth, it's still classified as a PHA due to the close proximity. According to sky.org, it is at a maximum distance of 321 million kilometers from the Sun. On the other hand, its distance from the Earth is just 8.96 million kilometers, equivalent to 0.06 astronomical units. Now, what would happen if the asteroid is headed for Earth? Would impact. The apocalyptic movies like Deep Impact, Armageddon, Don't Look Up have explored the what-ifs if a world destruction, with the most famous means of world destruction being asteroids crashing into Earth. NASA's readying itself to defend the planet against a very similar threat that is posed by the asteroids. NASA's mission is in the works to deflect an asteroid off its course by smashing a spacecraft into a staggering speed of 23,000 kilometers per hour. The mission is named DART, Double Asteroid Redirection Test. And we already know all about DART, do we not? That's coming up here in September. Here, let me actually take it back and I'll show you where DART is. Let's see if we can go back here and show you where DART is. Yeah, DART should be over here. I'll show you guys. Right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not on the screen. Right where you see Earth, right behind the Earth, you have Didymus right there. Didymus and Dimorphos, the binary companion asteroids. How coincidental, you know, kind of considering most people believe that there is a hypothetical Planet X or a Planet 9 that is the Sun's binary companion. People believe it's a protostar. Some people believe it's just a comet planet, a rogue star. There's a black hole, a million different thoughts on what it actually is. But we know that Didymus and Dimorphos, whenever it comes to this, man, there is a little bit of mystique about it. For one, Nostradamus has a prophetical quatrain that talks about when the dart runs across the sky or when the comet runs across the sky. And this thing's name is DART, right? Another thing is we also know that when they did PDC 2021, NASA, and all of the world government agencies, where they were preparing for a hypothetical impact scenario where basically they wasn't actually trying to stop the fucking thing. They were just preparing for the aftermath of a devastating asteroid impact. And they did do a few simulations, but they were using Didymus and Dimorphos in that scenario. And in TTX 2022 as well, which was basically the same thing. I think it was just a comet in that one. But in those simulations, 6 out of 7 times, they failed to stop the thing, right? And we know that some of their techniques, I guess, if you will, for how they plan on stopping this is double asteroid redirection test, which is basically flying a fucking tuna can into a large ass space rock made of metal that's like whipping faster than the speed of sound. I don't know how they got people to fund that damn thing, how people gave up their money willingly. They were like, yeah, sure, that's gonna work. Let's send a ball of aluminum foil out there and stop a giant, building sized piece of metal from crashing into the earth. Okay. No, I'm not accepting phone calls right now, man. Not accepting phone calls right now. I hope everybody can hear me and see me. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me in the chat. I don't know if somebody was calling for that reason. Maybe, everybody in the chat hear me and see me okay? Let me know. Let me know, guys. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. I think you guys are on a little bit of a delay. Like 10 seconds or something like that. So, hopefully not. Can you hear me? Can you see me, chat? I would greatly appreciate a little feedback, please. Hopefully we're not off the air. What? Are we off the air? We still going? Oh my god. Can you guys hear me and see me? Is the chat not working or something? What the fuck? Weird, man. I think we're just on a delay. Okay, can everybody hear me and see me good? Okay, I think so. Okay, so Didymus and Dimorphos. So we have these binary companion asteroids, right? And, this just kind of feeds into, like I said, 2022 TTX and 2021 PDC, the hypothetical impact scenario. And in one of those scenarios, I just want to say they did try to simulate tracking and redirecting asteroid Apophis. And, that was one of the scenarios as well. Thank you so much, UpYours73. Everybody else, you guys are just fucking rude. No, I'm just playing. I think there's a delay. I think that's why it took so much time for somebody say something. I think there's actually a delay. I think I'm ahead like 20 seconds or something. So, but you know, there you have it. There's Didymus and Dimorphos. Let's move forward here. You know, and here are the next 5 asteroid approaches according to NASA. And this, I believe, is actually today. This is 2022 QC. This is approximately 97 feet, and its closest approach is 620,000 miles. Next, we have 2019 AB13. This is 3,280,000 miles. This is about 420 feet building size. This is also today. And then we have a house size one, 2015 QH3, 44 feet. This is going to be on the 22nd as well. This is 1,340,000 miles. As well on the 22nd, 3,350,000 miles, 92 feet, 2020 QW3. That's the one we just talked about. And also on the 22nd, we have 4,470,000 miles, 61 feet, 2022 QM. And you know what? This just reminds me of like last week, where I was telling you guys how we had like 5 asteroids in 4 days, right? It's like this is becoming a regular occurrence. You know, large space rocks, and a lot of the time too. And I feel like this is them kind of preparing the public, if you will. They talk about how they're just popping up on us and they're coming from behind the sun, right? Or they're coming up underneath of us. It's like, oh, whoops, we didn't see that one. And it's large enough to end civilization. But we're going to tell you about it, 5 minutes after it passes. I think a lot of these rocks, they're actually watching them, waiting to see if they do impact or they do hit. And that's why we get told after the fact. Or if it's a really close call with some of them have actually, impacted, just small ones. And if it's a really close call, it's like, oh, well, it was coming from behind the sun, so we couldn't see it. I truly feel like NASA will leave us all in the dark on the asteroid that's going to put our lights out, so to speak. And I think it could probably be a lot sooner than later. If you think about it, they don't launch a double asteroid redirection test for nothing, right? And their backup plan, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat, the backup plan, if this tin can doesn't actually stop this giant fucking hunk of metal that's flying faster than the speed of sound, if that doesn't work, I believe they plan on using Starlink or SpaceX, all of those satellites that they launch, basically, right? And using HARP, like a directed energy weapon, to try and cut the fucking thing in half with a laser, basically, or, essentially it's microwaves or light refracting, but anyways, that's what they're going to do. If it gets through the tin can, then they're going to use a giant-ass space laser and try to cut it in half. So let me know in the chat, do you guys think that they even have that technology? In the chat, do you guys think that they even have the ability to point a giant space laser at a rock and cut it in half? Does anybody think that they can even do that? Or are they bullshitting? I mean, and if they do you think that they actually have a chance, at stopping an asteroid? How many of you guys feel like if there was a giant asteroid headed towards Earth tomorrow, right, like apocalyptic, city destroying, possibly civilization ending asteroid, do you believe that we have the capability to deter the thing, to stop it, to destroy it, to deflect it, to even slow the fucking thing down? I mean, do we have the ability to do anything to it? Or are we just really sitting here as sitting ducks and investing billions and billions and trillions of dollars of taxpayer money into NASA for no good reason other than, these CGI shows that they give you every time something supposedly passes, or every time they, play Bill Nye the Science Guy and launch a rocket? What do you guys think? You guys think that we even have the capability to stop any of these things or slow them down. I mean, I would love to hear your opinion on this, honestly. And you see here, this has happened multiple times, and this is why I subscribe to catastrophism, honestly, because to me, especially if you go back to like Big Bang, like something impacted to make a bang. And if we look into esoteric teachings and spirituality especially, right, we have the smith, the blacksmith, right, who was creating things and by striking his hammer. So to me, that's an impact. Or Prometheus, stealing those 50 sparks, right, and molding them with clay. Where'd you get the sparks? Well, they were sparks from the smith striking his hammer. Right? We think of Thor and his hammer, you know, and there's many stories too about sun gods and how they couldn't control their chariot and almost ran into the sun. So there's obviously other objects that go past, you know, and we look at Nibiru, Nemesis, all of that, and just the geological data alone here on Earth, looking at the soil, it shows that there have been massive impact events, and not just impacts. We have the whole mud flood thing, you know, where you can look at specific parts of the earth and there's like a fucking graveyard of not just aquatic life, but mammals and lizards and everything smashed in all at once. To me, that's indicative of a tidal wave or a tsunami, which was probably generated by an asteroid impact into the ocean. You know, just really thinking about it. And then you see this too. And not to mention, many people believe that, and not just believe, they know, now we're looking underneath the ocean and we're finding these giant craters. It says, I think they could stop it if they wouldn't be so worried about it. They could stop it, or they would, I'm not sure what that says. They could stop it or they wouldn't be so worried about it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, if they could stop it, they wouldn't be so worried about it. Absolutely. Possibly using frequency and vibration, but as light, I'm not thinking that's even possible. Yeah. So, well, you got to think, guys, they do have, you know, heat rays, pain rays, shit like that. And even when we're using microwaves, right, all we're doing is making the water molecules spin around in circles until they generate heat. That's microwave. So I mean, if they was able to hone in on something like that, but it's not alive like you and I. It's not, even though they want us to believe that every asteroid and comet is made up of, you know, fucking ice and rocks, I'm not buying it. Matter of fact, and then if you look at how they're trying to mine all of them for their precious metals, I don't think they're all giant balls of water and ice. I actually think that they are plasma, and that's what creates the ionized tail. That's what creates the large magnetic fields on these things. And if they do have metals and other particulates within them, they're probably in a plasmatic state until they impact and solidify after entering into the atmosphere. This is what goes up. NASA must come back down with nukes on them. So many rockets. Liquefaction. That's actually a good idea. You know, liquefaction. If you were able to focus some type of, you know, energetic beam on it and liquefy the damn thing, and think about when they hit the atmosphere. They, you know, a lot of them do burn up, create tails, when they hit the ionosphere. So if you was able to essentially focus and concentrate some type of particle beam on those things, you know, way before they get here, but they are moving incredibly fast. So not only would whatever you were doing that was heating the thing up, you would have to actually be locked onto the thing as it was moving at, you know, 20,000 kilometers a second. That's damn near impossible, you know, especially something, you know, so high powered and focused and all of that. I just don't know, you know, I don't know. But we know that the mystery crater, potentially caused by a relative of the dinosaur killing asteroid. And see, and this is what I'm saying, man, this shit is on the regular here on planet Earth. It's like some everyday shit, right? We have these things taking place all the time, and this is how every cycle appears to end. Whether it's just the passing of a large comet or asteroid and the tail, we go through the tail and all of that debris and dust and all of that, and it poisons water, rains down rocks everywhere, causing massive destruction, or it's actual impact, which I believe is probably impact. But either one, on top of that, the way that it messes with the magnetic field as well, creating fluctuation in the ionosphere, all the different gases that escape, all the earthquakes and volcanoes and chaotic weather. These cycles, they end, one and the same. And this is the process of death and rebirth, right? This destruction is what allows for new life to be born out of it. Matter of fact, I've talked about this for years now, and science agrees too. The radiation that is being given off by a lot of these different things, including our sun and, these celestial bodies, this radiation mutates DNA and alters our genetics, but it doesn't just do it to us. It does it to every living fucking thing on the planet. So without these, chaotic, catastrophic, fucking cataclysmic, cosmic cycles coming to an end, and as they come to an end, allowing all the radiation and craziness in, if that didn't take place, then who knows if humanity would ever evolve at all. Or, you know what I mean? Because we know that when we look at the soil, you see creatures, and they look almost identical to what they did before a destruction, right? But they come up different, It's like, I don't even believe dinosaurs were probably real, but I'm saying we see things evolve as a result of the radiation and the cataclysms. It says, I would worry about the world destroyer before I would care about NASA. Well, I think NASA's whole point of existing is actually in search of the destroyer. You know what I mean? So let's just keep it all the way real. They're not up there giving two fucks about PHAs that are 20 feet in diameter. They're probably actually looking for Nemesis, Planet X, Planet 9, because we do know that it is said that this binary companion is something like a black hole. Its magnetic field is negatively charged, so it's a neutron star, which kind of gives place to why we have the South Atlantic anomaly, right? Creating that negative polarity on the planet and repelling our positively charged poles towards Siberia. It would also, because it gives off so much debris and dust and shit like that, kind of gives way to why we have the widening of the tropical zone and the bulge around the equator, because we know that the magnetic poles of the planet are like light sockets and it allows cosmic rays and particles to flow in. So the planet is in essence getting fatter. It's getting charged with all this energy. And the magnetic field and the planet itself can only hold so much charge, right? And that's what creates these plasmatic discharges and these electrical storms everywhere and all of this shit that you see. And for this gas to start coming up out of the crust and the seismic and volcanic events. So, we're seeing a lot of signs that the destroyer is very close, matter of fact, and that it's been here before, but I think it comes with a lot of company, and it's said that it comes from underneath the ecliptic, so you're not going to see this thing when it comes, or it's said that it comes from behind the sun. And we know that NASA's coming out now saying, a lot of this shit is coming out from behind the sun. We have no shot at even seeing it, before it gets here. So, it's really kind of, and something with such a strong magnetic field that's charged in the negative polarity, it's so strong that it doesn't allow light to escape. So it's like a black hole. It's like an inverted star, if you will, right? We see stars in the night sky and how they're protruding with positive light. They're positive ions that are shining out of them, like our sun, like our star. This is like the other way. It's like a black hole, right? It's the inverse. Or, something so strong. It's got such a strong pull that not even light can escape its magnetic field. Now think about what's going to happen if this thing is even in our system. Because we know that it's strong enough to actually pull other objects in, because that's what gives it its wings, and it's said to have an entire system that orbits it as well, right? With this thing even somewhere relatively close to our solar system, it would do some fucking damage, right? It would do some damage, and maybe that's what's actually causing our poles to push towards Siberia. Maybe that's what's actually causing our planet to tilt, to slow down, to speed up, to perturbate. Maybe that's what's creating this very significant solar maximum and all the sunspots. We got to think, guys, we just had dark energy come out of our sun. Dark CMEs and shit. Right? Like, this is some shit I've never even fucking heard of. Have you? What do you think's triggering that? Where's this dark plasma, this dark energy coming from? If it was a dark star, you'd never see it until it was right up on you. It's like you'd never even notice. You'd feel the effects of the thing. You'd see the effects of the thing, like you are now everywhere. But you would not see it until it was in your face and it was too late. Just saying. The ocean floor is famously less explored than the surface of Mars. And when our team of scientists recently mapped the seabed and ancient sediments beneath, we discovered what looks like an asteroid impact crater. Imagine that. Intriguingly, the crater, named Nadir, after the nearby volcano Nadir Seamount, is of the same age as the Chicks Club impact caused by a huge asteroid at the end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago, which wiped out the dinosaurs and many other species. Iswa. 3 times. This is the last time they won't see it coming. They can't find it. Land to land. They've looked and dug. Someone put it in a cave. Well, you know what? They say only the wise know of its coming and going when it comes to the destroyer, right? We did a video not too long ago, and we looked into the Colburn Bible, which was written on brass, right? Pre-flood, and it's the Egyptian perspective of the book of Exodus out of the Bible, and when you get into that, I feel like it gives a very detailed account of what happened after the fact. Right, so you can read those first 3 chapters on the destroyer, and it talks about, its ruddy red glow and how it looks like fucking fire, and, all these terrible things of what it looks like approaching you, and, how you can recognize you're in that time. But when you look at the dark days, or whatever the chapter's called, and the aftermath, that's where it sets in to me. I mean, honestly, that's where it sets in. This thing is the real deal. Whenever it comes to town, shit changes. You got to think of something with such a strong magnetic field to not allow light to escape, what that would do to the human consciousness, right? If we go into solar minimums and solar maximums, and it in fact affects how long we live, how intelligent we are, how fast we age, right? Our skin colors, just everything about us. And the way that we behave consciously. We know that electromagnetic energy can actually make you hallucinate. So if that's a fact, well then, wouldn't a dark star have some very, very intense effects in the same way that our star does with us now, right? But what would the effects be of something that was dark energy, something that was neutron, negative? What would that do to the human consciousness? Is that why in the Bible and all these religious texts it talks about, the last days and people being just pure fucking evil? Is it because they don't really have a choice? that there's a neutron star that's sending pure negativity into the human consciousness and subconscious, right? Essentially shaping the collective psyche into some warped, distorted, demonic-like nature because of the effects of electromagnetism on our brains, our nervous systems, our souls. I mean, when you really think about it, that's a big possibility. When it says that in the Bible, it says that they would call good evil and evil good. What has flipped everything upside down? Our perception upside down? Is it because we have a star of the opposite polarity shining on us instead of the one that we're used to in that time? Making good look evil and evil look good. We got to think, if we live in some type of holographic, electromagnetic, plasmatic simulation, then the projector is the sun, right? That projects the reality through the filter, through the lens that we call the electromagnetic field or the firmament. Well, if the projector is changed and we have a different light shining in there, a black light instead of a regular light, right? It's going to change the way that shit looks. It's going to change the way that we perceive things. It's going to change the way that we behave, how long we live, how everything. You know what I mean? It's going to change shit. And if we're at a point right now where the sun is starting to, and we know that the sun's got something going on. When you look at the red skies, okay, red at night, sailor's delight, and all that shit, that used to be a very, very rare thing. Did it not? It's red and pink every day now, okay? So when you look at the sun, one could surmise that quite possibly the sun is dying, and that it's running out of hydrogen, and that it's starting to burn helium, and that's what's creating all the red and pink in the sky. Another could surmise that because Nemesis or Nibiru, Planet X, being this neutron black star, that it's the infrared light, right? That's actually, the iron oxide that's giving this red hue into the sky. I mean, either one, it's kind of up to you on what you think, but I do think it's the helium, and that it's being affected by something that's probably pulling the life right out of it. If you think about it, something is triggering our sun and making it react, creating these large plasmatic ejections, these coronal mass ejections, these solar flares. Something triggers these things a lot of times. It's not always within the star itself, right? Our star itself maintains a certain stability, and we see sun divers and all types of shit on the daily basis now. So something's sending trash and debris at it. And I've talked about one of my theories on this. When it says the sun will turn black as sackcloth made of goat hair and the moon turns to blood. One of my theories on this is because the neutron star comes from the Kuiper belt, right? The outer edges, trans-Neptunian object, the outer edges of the system. And the reason it's got these wings is because it's dragging debris, dust, trash, all of it. It's like a vacuum of our system, and it comes in around our sun and goes back out. Well, as it comes in around our sun, all of the shit that it's dragging with it gets pulled into our star. And our star, as it absorbs all of these different elements, it cooks them out, basically, right? And as it cooks out the different impurities and things that it cannot use for fuel, it changes colors. So you see the sun first start to dim down because it's adding all this stuff to it, and it turns like a whitish color. Then as it heats back up, trying to cook out these elements, it turns a bluish color. And as it, continues, you'll see it turn red. Finally, all of the impurities cook to the corona or the outer edge of the sun, turning it black. And it creates like a black hard shell around the sun. And then when the sun builds up enough strength within, it blows off that hard black shell in what we call a recurring micronova, sending those elements and debris and all that shit back out into the solar system. And one could even theorize that the asteroid belt is kind of like the waveline of how far out it blows. Maybe that's what blew the atmosphere off of Mars, was a recurring micronova. And that's what a lot of people probably call a solar flash or solar, flash events. It's probably something like that being triggered by the neutron star. And this could be something that happens on the regular. And who knows, just because we have all these different catastrophic cycles, I don't think all of them are created equal. I don't think the recurring micronova happens every time. I think that this is like, the great year type shit. The precession of the equinoxes. Like every 25,000 years, you probably get the solar flash event where it literally just blows the fucking doors off of everything, right? So, who knows, right? Who knows? But the finding published in Science Advances raises the question of whether the crater might be related to Chicks Club in some way. It confirmed it would also be of huge general scientific interest, as it would be one of the very small number of known marine asteroid impacts, and so gives unique new insights as to what happens during such a collision. The crater was identified using seismic reflection as part of a reconstruct the tectonic separation of South America from Africa in the Cretaceous period. And notice they're using seismic reflection over in South America where that South Atlantic anomaly is. I'm just saying. Seismic reflection works in a similar manner to the ultrasound data, sending pressure waves through the ocean's floor and detecting the energy that is reflected back. This data allows geophysicists and geologists to reconstruct the architecture of the rocks and sediments. Scrolling through this data at the end of 2020, we came across a highly unusual feature. Among the flat, layered sediments of the Guinea Plateau, west of Africa, what appeared to be a large crater, a little under 10 kilometers wide and several hundred meters deep, buried below several hundred meters of sediment. It says many of its features are consistent with an impact origin, including the scale of the crater, the ratio, height of the crater rim. The presence of chaotic deposits outside of the crater floor also looks like ejecta, material expelled from the crater immediately following a collision. We did consider other possible processes that could have formed such a crater, such as the collapse of a submarine volcano or a pillar of salt below the seabed. Explosive release of gas from below the surface could also be a cause, but none of the possibilities are consistent with the local geology or the geometry of the crater. After identifying and characterizing the crater, we built computer models of the impact event to see if we could replicate the crater and characterize the asteroid and its impact. The simulation best fits the crater shape for an asteroid 400 meters in diameter, hitting an ocean that was 800 meters deep. The consequences of an impact in the ocean at such water depths are dramatic. It would result in an 800 meter thick water column. You got to be kidding me. 800 meter thick water column, as well as the asteroid and a substantial volume of sediment being instantly vaporized. I apologize, guys. Instantly vaporized with a large fireball visible hundreds of kilometers away. And shock waves from the impact would be equivalent to a magnitude of 6.5 or a 7 earthquake, which would likely trigger underwater landslides around the region. A train of tsunami waves would form, and the air blast from the explosion would be larger than anything heard on Earth in recorded history. The energy released would be approximately 1,000 times larger than that from the recent Tonga eruption. It is also possible that the pressure waves in the atmosphere would further amplify the tsunami waves far away from the crater. Jesus, man. Look at that. And this is the actual crater area. You can see right there. Okay? And I've got the actual data too. Now think about that. The way that they're describing this, is exactly how I've described to you what would take place if off of the Atlantic there was an asteroid impact, right? The thing would, hit, and we have to understand too, and this is what, I don't want to say worries me, but this is what keeps me aware, and watching whenever they talk about nuclear war. Because asteroid impacts and nuclear bombs would behave or have the same exact result, right? When an asteroid impacts, it eviscerates, vaporizes anything within its vicinity, essentially turning shit to glass. And I mean, it packs such an energy too that it's radiation. So I mean, like, you gotta think, like, anytime we're talking about nuclear war, nuclear bombs, to me, it's like, this is a heads up, because I believe that World War III, all of that is theater, just like the two-party political paradigm within the United States is nothing more than, puppet theater. I believe it's the same way on the world stage, right? And that the world's militaries, essentially, they will use one another, all of the countries of the world will use one another's militaries as invasion forces for each other, right? So I send my troops to Russia, you send yours to China, you know what I mean? Because most have laws in place that wouldn't allow you to use your own military against your own citizens, for one, and for two, most people's military wouldn't go against their own citizens, right? And for three, right, they want to keep as many people distracted and in the dark as possible. So if they simulate, like with live exercise type of, global conflict, World War III, people won't be aware of the cataclysm that's actually taking place, especially if they're telling people these are nuclear bombs dropping, and they've already told you that hypersonic missiles behave like meteors. Well, if there's some type of incoming catastrophe, right, and this Planet X or Nemesis or asteroid, whatever, has debris and shit around it, and all of a sudden the meteors falling down, those are bombs now, right? Oh, those are bombs. We're at war with China. Don't worry about it. We're going to dispatch our military overseas, and they're going to dispatch theirs, and no matter where something blows up or hits or whatever, right, it's all good, because we've even covered it. Like, we've told you that Russia now has nuclear weaponry that can send tidal waves, right, with submarines. Like, we've covered it all. Matter of fact, we've also told you how North Korea has been practicing blowing up nuclear weapons in low Earth orbit, or up in the upper atmosphere, to create electromagnetic pulse, right? It's called sixth generation or silent warfare, and it disables the power grid. Knowing that asteroid impacts and things of that nature would have the same type of effect, right? They would generate electromagnetic pulse that would put out the entire fucking planet's energy if one was large enough and it actually impacted, and it wouldn't matter where it impacted. If it hit in the Atlantic, the entire world would be without power, right? It'd fry everything from that wave. And I'm not talking about the water wave, the tidal wave, the tsunami. I'm talking about the electromagnetic energetic wave, right? Because it would literally evaporate water on impact. Everything in that area would be gone. And, the heat and, oh my gosh, the heat wave that would come off of that, the energy and heat wave that would come off of that would be like nuclear bombs dropping. I mean, you would be turned into ashes instantly. If there was even ashes left of you, if you was anywhere close to the proximity of an impact of a large asteroid, you would be a skeleton for show. And then when that water actually returns back to the impact crater, damn, son. I mean, the tidal waves, they'd be miles high probably. Especially, depending on how deep out in the ocean it was, how big the impact was. And you're going to get more than one, because it's going to slosh around in essence, right? It's going to hit more than one place, and there's going to be ripple effects and especially from the sound ringing the entire magnetic field. And you think about the Bible talking about the trumpet sounds and shit, right? Like, I wonder if this is why. You know, the vibration of the field from something like this. You have to really kind of put two and two together whenever we're thinking about this, and you have to see that there's nothing new under the sun. This has happened before, so I mean, yeah. Yep, facts. God will send millions. Satan cannot hide anymore. Well, to me, if we're thinking about God and Satan, to me, those are the different aspects of us. So God is the Holy Spirit, the oversoul or the higher self, right? God is the spirit of light, truth. He's our true self, the one soul infinitely resurrecting in spirit, Osiris, right? That would be like, and I believe God is, in essence, the divine, what we call the divine feminine too, you know, or that's an aspect of God at least. God's source is everything. So everything, even evil, comes out of God, you know. And when we look at what we would call Satan, the accuser, that's the black mirror. That's our reflection, our lower carnal self. That's our darker aspect, right? Our ego. You know, that's the physical. So, both of those to me make up God. God is all of it. You know, everything comes out of God. I don't care what your religious perspective or point of view is. Religion is true in essence. So, no matter whatever religion you're into, to me, they're all true in some way, shape, form, or facet, depending on how you look at it, depending on how you perceive it, you know, your point of view. So yeah. First the meteors, then the UFOs, and it's all a lie. Werner von Braun. Yeah. That's to be determined. The UFOs, right? Are UFOs actually what we would call plasmatic manifestations from electromagnetic energy? You know, people doing ghost hunting that get into the paranormal will tell you, I will tell you, I've done it before. And whenever you talk to a spirit or catch a spirit on film, right, that they are electromagnetic energy. So, I mean, you know, if we live in an electromagnetic holographic kind of paradigm or simulation, whatever, then so are you. You're electromagnetic energy too. Is our consciousness pure energy? And without our physical body in the water, which retains memory, when we become a disembodied spirit, do we have memory of who we were or are or will be, right? Because we don't have that water anymore. Or does the water in the atmosphere charge us enough to have memory? You know, like, these are the questions that I have when I think about these things. And when we're looking at spirits or entities, because we only see spheres or little spirals of what we call poltergeist or whatever, made up of electromagnetic manifestations, are these just dimensional glimpses into dimensional realities, like a multiverse, but glimpses into different dimensional aspects of reality? So like they're existing maybe in full body in another dimension that's in the same space that we inhabit, but you know, because we can only perceive 0.00001% of the electromagnetic light spectrum, right? And we're made up of organic material from the earth. Maybe we just can't perceive all of these different multi-dimensions that are coexisting within us simultaneously in the same space, right? You know, or wrong. You tell me. Not saying it's a lie. So much we don't know. I know. Well, but, and this is what I'm saying. So, and then look at aliens and extraterrestrials, extra terra, right? Meaning outside of Earth, right? So is it extra dimensional? Should we be calling them extra dimensionals is what we should be calling them, right? Because they're not inhabiting physical human bodies, yet they somehow appear to be engaging with our dimensional space and reality, even able to control and manipulate it as some, in some facet. And some people believe they are the hidden hand behind this entire dimensional reality, right? And this is what we would call sons of God, or watchers, messengers, archons, angels, right? They're rulers of this reality. And is the reason that they're able to manipulate and control people, or abduct people, whatever, right? Or possess people, oppress people, attach to people. Is this because they're at a higher dimensional frequency than the one that we're currently existing in? So this is kind of, think about it, like if I'm in a higher state of consciousness than you, right? When we're, then in essence, I have dominion over you in the spiritual realm, right? Anything I try to do as far as like spiritually, my attacks, whatever, would fucking destroy you, right? Because I'm at a higher dimensional place. My spirit's at a higher place. It's stronger. And it inhabits other dimensions than yours does, right? So I have not just use of the dimension that I'm in spiritually, but I have use to all the dimensions that are beneath me as well, all the frequencies that are beneath me as well, right? Outside of the more powerful frequency I'm at that's higher than yours. So now let's kind of flip that, right? If you're an extraterrestrial or an archon or whatever, right? And you're existing at a higher dimensional frequency than humanity is, then not only do you have that stronger, more powerful frequency that you're existing in, but you have access to all the frequencies and dimensions that are beneath that on the scale as well, right? So you would be able to play around in those lower dimensions, lower frequencies, but ultimately your frequency or space that you reside in would be higher on the scale, so it would be stronger. So you'd be able to manipulate or whatever you wanted to the lesser frequencies. You're an orb. Fuck you, Veritas. No, I'm just playing. You're an orb, bro. No, I'm just playing. I really am an orb, probably. And so are you, man. I love you, by the way, bro. You're one of the best. That's what I thought, Veritas. That's so funny. You're an orb. Catch up. Those orbs are us. Yeah. Excuse me. Damn, bro, you're being a little fucking harsh on me tonight. I thought me and you were homies, too. You're like one of my favorite viewers of all time, and you're like, catch up. Okay, I'm trying to catch up. But here's the thing, though. Okay, that would kind of give us to this, then there is no... we know that time is a perceived concept inside of a limited construct, right? Of the Vesica Pisces, or the Ouroboros, right? The matrix, if you will, right? The cube. So these orbs, if they are in fact us, then we are simultaneously existing within the cube and outside of the cube at the same time. So is that the future us or the past us? You know what I mean? And if we are the aliens, so to speak, if we're the extraterrestrials, then we're essentially time traveling, right? Because that's us existing at a higher dimensional space, or, lower dimensional space, if we're the demons too. To me, I think that we're everything, right? I believe we are source. We are God, in essence, right? We are a piece or a fractal or a fragment of the source or creator. So a piece of infinite is still infinite, right? So, maybe each one of us, as the fragment or fractal, have, even though we simultaneously exist together as a collective, right? That would mean there's only one organism that lives within this creation, for one. And this one organism has fragmented itself into billions and trillions and, however many pieces, and created a disillusion to convince itself that it's separate from itself by creating fragmented aspects of itself. So that would mean that there's only one true organism within our reality, right? And we're all that organism. But I like to think when we look at those fragments that in essence would then create, and if we're sons of God, if we inherit the kingdom and the kingdom of heaven is within, right? In my Father's house are many mansions, okay? So we all exist within the Father's house as collective fragments that have forgotten who we are, right? Or forgotten our connectedness, or forgotten where we come from, or forgotten that we're all one. However it's happened. But within these collective fragments, each one of us have a universe inside of us as well. So the process begins again. So whatever has taken place here to create the collective fragments, right, that spiral both up and down, involution and evolution, going up in frequency and down in frequency, to create extremely fast-moving light down to slow, vibrating distortions, right? That this process is happening within each and every one of us. So when we pass on, or we transition, or are born, in essence, it's almost like, and if you think about a matrix, in Hebrew, it means womb, right? Womb is what matrix means in Hebrew. So, when we go into death, we escape the illusion of separateness and are birthed into a higher dimensional realm to start the process all over again. So maybe that we become the sun of our own universe, or we become the source of our own universe, and the same thing happens over and over and over, right? In essence, kind of creating this infinite mirror effect of downward and upward spirals that self-replicate into these different multiverses. I mean, if you think about it, it's fucking wild. Infinite multiverses, though. Let's see here. Let's see some of these stories. You're all stars. Well, I believe you're stars, right? We live in okay. The God is known as the Lord of Hosts, right? And then the Watchers, or angels, are known as heavenly hosts. And we live in a host body system, or a host body. Okay, so the host body is hosting something, a soul, right? Where is the soul coming from? Well, I believe it's probably coming from the heavenly host. I believe we're probably the fallen angels, and the Lord of Hosts is all of us together in our singular form, right? Our spiritual singularity, right? Our conscious singularity. In a flash, sin in his world is gone. You will be standing in front of God in the plaza. Sin is the god of chaos, and Leo's son, the moon god. Well, we know that, the other names for the moon is leaven, and leaven is sin as well, right? It talks about in the Bible unleavened bread or leavened bread, right? So, and I put forth the theory too of the Saturn moon matrix, right? Where the moon is essentially like a parabolic dish that is used like a satellite, basically, to reflect the sound frequency emanating from the magnetic north pole of Saturn, which is hexagonal, and we know it generates a sound. And that sound, through that parabolic dish of the moon, reflects down to the Earth, essentially creating kind of like a vibration of oppression, right? Suppressing our consciousness, keeping us held together in physical form through distortion or conflict, right? It's that opposition force which creates the physicality of our reality. If you think about it, without conflict, there is no physical world, right? That's how the particles and everything hold together. So we need the duality in order to be in a physical body. So without the moon, we couldn't have the physical duality we exist in now. And maybe that's why when we look at like creation stories and mythos from like the Zulus in particular, who did exist in one state prior to this, and they talked about these lizard or reptilian beings that came and they drugged the moon into place, and when they brought it into place, that it created pure chaos and destruction on the earth. Like, the fucking world ended, right? Almost everybody died. It was all, tidal waves, everything. Pure chaos and destruction. And then they told them to bow down and worship, right? That they were the gods. They refused to, okay? The Zulus, the original Zulus, refused to. They said, nah, we're not worshiping anything, right? You just wrecked this place. So then they threatened to remove the moon and drag it back out of place and make them go through it again if they didn't worship. So they finally bent the knee, because they didn't want that to happen again. They knew that if they removed the moon, that as many people that had died from them bringing the moon, there wouldn't be anybody left, basically. So, there's different stories of this. And I think, too, when we look at Saturn, not only does Saturn kind of emanate this sound frequency that's used for oppression through the parabolic dish or satellite of the 11 or moon, the tidally locked moon, that had to have been put into place by something intelligent because it's too big for our planet, for one, right? And the way that it's in alignment for solar and lunar eclipses, it say that the chances of that happening naturally is beyond fucking astronomical. Like, it just couldn't happen. Not to mention, something has happened on this Earth. We have Theia, the two giant chunks of a planet that has hit the Earth that don't match up with the moon either. So that's not a good theory. But when we look at Saturn, to me, the rings of Saturn, and this is just a hunch or a theory, right? When we kind of cling on to the Saturn-Moon matrix, those rings to me are cyclical orbits or grooves in the matrix, conscious grooves in the matrix. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, they'll try to tell you it's ice, but I believe they're crystalline rings. I believe new rings are created every cycle of Earth. So if we're living inside of a cube or a box or a simulated reality, every time consciousness expands, a new ring would be created. And the rings are magnetic grooves or representations of the loops or cycles of time. And if you think about Kronos, that's exactly what he is Father Time. Right? So that's why the dream world, in essence, when we look at the dream world or the astral stepping outside of the box, you go into Neptune or Uranus type of energy because it's outside of the limitations or the paradox of Saturn. Right? So if you're still inside of Saturn, you're still stuck in those loops, those orbits, those cycles, which is karmic loops, karmic cycles, karmic orbits, right? And maybe humanity at one point, we were way closer in, right? And here, let me bring up a picture. And notice, too, Saturn's at the closest point that it's ever been to the Earth right now. People are getting phenomenal pictures of Saturn, too, right now. Hold on. Yep, here to learn, evolve, not to live like a beast. Let this world of sin go. Hang on to the God within and be delivered. And think about it, too. Different definitions of the word sin is sound. Okay, sound. Right? Let the world of sound go. Because light and sound, in essence, are the same thing. Okay? Sound is generated when light goes to such a low vibration that it vibrates and hums and makes sound. Right? Different octaves. Right? These are, and that's when people start to understand that everything does emanate from one source and that we are ultimately light and sound creatures, right? And that's why the geometry of things matters so much, because these angles or angels, right, determine the variation of the electrical arcs or archetypes, right, of the reality. Arc angles, angels, Ark of the Covenant, right? What was the covenant represented by? The rainbow. The rainbow is the rays, the 7 rays, or 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 light spectrums, right? Those light spectrums represent frequency, okay? Each light spectrum is a frequency as well as a chakra within your system up the kundalini, right? Up the spine. Each color representing part not only of our anatomical and spiritual self, but energetic frequencies and vibrations and thought patterns too. So, and these are the 7 lampstands, the 7 seals, all of that, right? When we think about it. So that covenant, these colors, right? They are also the planets, the 7 planets that are within the Saturn moon matrix. Neptune and Uranus being outside of the covenant. And that's why they're always described as the dream world and shit like that. That's why we're entering into the Aquarian age, the age of Aquarius. We're going the covenant over. We're going past the rainbow, over the rainbow, the pot of gold, right? We're leaving outside of the covenant with God. Or, Old Testament God. Whatever that means to you. We're going outside of the 7 rays. We're experiencing something new. Right? And if we think about it too, the age of Aquarius is represented by technology. And what are we doing? Right? We're using 5th generation technology to artificially lock humanity's consciousness into a higher dimensional frequency and then chipping everyone's ass. That way we're all locked in there, right? Outside of the bounds of Saturn. I believe, though, that they're trying to lock you within the bounds of Saturn, in my opinion, the general population. Because they know that everybody who doesn't do that will expand past the bounds of Saturn, right? And Saturn being iron, right? And then we know the effects of going along with this and what it does to the red blood cells, and which are iron and all of that in your body, right? And we know that Planet X is iron oxide that it burns. It's an iron planet, Think about it, man. Think about it. And it talks about Nostradamus and Quatrain 944 turning the iron into gold. Right? The iron into gold. And that's alchemy is what it is. And how are they turning that iron into gold? I believe they're sacrificing the population to do that. But that's my opinion. That's sustainable development in a nutshell. In my opinion. A prism, absolutely. It is a prism. Beautiful, Rachel. Beautiful. Dump religions and be saved. Dump religions and be saved from God within. And your shield from this evil. When Lilith is returned from the Red Sea, she comes back spinning this as the cube and won't see it coming. You are it. You never come back. Well, Lilith to me is probably Venus, okay, or Prometheus, or Lucifer, or whatever. And Venus to me is a comet planet, and it's probably more than likely what we were calling Planet X in days of old. It used to be a satellite or a moon of Jupiter. Jupiter, I believe, ascends the Earth every 12,500 years. And think about Didymus and Dimorphos, right? One big, large, giant body with a smaller moon that orbits it. Well, to me, that kind of sounds like, Planet X and its moons or whatever, right? Or Jupiter and Venus. Who fucking knows? And we know that Immanuel Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision, it talks about this too. Not only just Venus, that Mars has created some bad juju for the Earth over time too. Right? Remember its flaming sword and dark shadow of pestilence and shit like that? So it's been in these catastrophic mix-ups as well, cosmic mix-ups as well. I don't want to say that to Moloch all the time. The church is a statue outside the Vatican for years. Let's not do that. Let's not point at one particular race or group of people, because there's way more than just them that worship Moloch, right? The giant owl Moloch. The Canaanites worshipped Moloch, and Canaanites, like canine, right? You're worshiping Moloch probably in a variation of ways and you don't even know it. If you're in Christianity, you're worshiping Moloch. So, I don't like to point to one group of people, like the Jews or anything like that, because just like you and me, or anybody that's watching this right now, there is probably a small percentage of people that actually are worshiping as you say they are, when it comes to that. So to stereotype an entire collective or race or religion or group of people, I don't think that's fair, I don't think that's fair. Because most do not. Most of them believe in the Father, and you know what I mean? They and there's even Messianic Jews. There's all different types of Jewish people and all different variations of beliefs. So I don't think it's just, I think we should not have a blanket statement over one type or one group of people, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're going to do ourselves any good by doing that. And everybody make sure to hit that fucking thumbs up in the chat too. Guys, make sure to hit that thumbs up in the chat too. I definitely appreciate it to everybody who does. So, you have a pet spider called Jupiter. I'm not fucking with any spiders, dude. I've been bit by spiders. I basically, stay in a garage, so that's why. But I have been bit by spiders 4 times over the last 2 years. And you know what's crazy too? Before the first time it happened, I had a terrible nightmare and shit. And in the nightmare, I had a golden dick. Very weird. And a girl that I was dating at the time, had solid black eyes and turned into a spider. And then she multiplied into fucking 8 more girls, and it was so weird. So weird. You follow religions, thank you. Yeah, my religion is love. That's the religion I like to hang on to, y'all, is love. I feel like that's the only true religion there ever is. Love is the most powerful thing that we have. I mean, but look here, though. The Nadir crater, offshore West Africa, the candidate for the Cretaceous Paleogene impact structure. Evidence of marine target impacts, binary impact craters, or impact clusters are rare on Earth. Seismic reflection data from Guinea Plateau, West Africa, reveals a 0.5 kilometer wide structure below 300 to 400 meters of Paleogene sediment and characteristics consistent with a complex impact crater. And this includes an elevated rim above a terraced crater floor, pronounced central uplift, and extensive subsurface deformation. Numerical simulations of crater formation indicate a marine target of 800 meters of water depth or 400 meter asteroid. Damn, that's fucking big. Resulting in a train of a large tsunami waves of potential release of substantial quantities of greenhouse gases from shallow buried black shale deposits. Our stratigraphic framework suggests that the crater formed at the near Cretaceous Paleogene boundary, approximately the same age as Chicks Club impact crater, and we hypothesize that this formed as part of a closely timed impact cluster, or by breakup of a common parent asteroid. So there you have that. John, have you been hit with directed energy frequency? Have noticed it in your life? Have you been hit? Yes, I have. back in 2018, the first time I went viral, is when I started to become a targeted individual, or what you would call a targeted individual. I think it was probably 2019. 2019 is when I was hit with the directed energy. That's when it was its worst. I can tell you something about the directed energy and what they did to me that'll blow your fucking mind. This is how I knew. And back then, I didn't even know. Like, you gotta think 2018, 2017, 2016. Back then, we didn't. It wasn't like it is now. Okay? Like, it wasn't like it is now. They weren't fucking using frequency to do everything. So, I mean, it was still kind of a relatively new concept. I mean, we knew they had it, but, like, it was like, only for, super secretive shit or space shit or, weaponry. Like, it wasn't common. So I didn't even know if the shit was legit or real when they first started doing it to me. And I mean, for like a year or so, they were beaming me with frequency to create pain in my nerves and agitate me. And I mean, they were doing some bad things to me before I even caught on for a long time. I just thought I was like fucked up or something. I didn't know what was wrong with me. But then one day, somebody who was watching the channel, watching the show, and this is, I'm thinking about writing a book on all of this too, guys, like sharing my experiences, but I'm kind of thinking it'll get me killed. So one day, somebody was watching the channel, watching the show, and contacted me in the chat. They were like in the comment section. And I talked to them. It was like a, person that had a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and they were like, fucking, this is back, years ago, in 2016, 2017, so I was still learning, and I wasn't confident within myself like I am today. I don't go looking for answers from other people now. I might go looking for confirmation or your opinion, or if you have information, I know you have information I need, I will go to you. But back then, I was still trying to untangle the web, so to speak, and looking for guidance, really. And people took advantage of me is what they did. Imagine that. So I ended up talking to this person, this elderly lady, and she would school me, dude, on all types of things. She would teach me about the occult. I don't know how much information I want to give. I'm afraid I'm going to get somebody in trouble. Fuck it, I'm just going to say it. She was married into the CIA or whatever. Son was in the military. I believe she was paid to contact me. My opinion. I believe that was the first handler I ever had. I've had many handlers. They've been girlfriends and all kinds of shit. Which is crazy. People are like, oh, you think you're so important. It's like, nope. You can have a handler and not be a YouTuber. It's just, or at least I think you could. So yeah, this first handler I ever had, was talking about a mystery school that she was involved in. And back at university, I don't want to say the name of the school and all that. I think it was like Cal Berkeley or something like that. She was involved in experimentation with like consciousness. She was gifted. She was able to travel with her consciousness and to manifest and attract and gift of prophecy and all kinds of stuff, right? She just had like a super wicked cool consciousness. And the government looks for this, guys. Remote viewing, the government looks for this. They know it when they see it. It's obvious, I guess. I don't know. To them, anyways. So she participated in some shit back in school. And she was basically a superstar back in the 70s for what she did, and the people she worked with and all this, right? She done, like, amazing things. Would know shit before it happened, could heal people, could communicate with really anything she wanted. Could tell you what was sitting in another room, without being there. She started fooling around with one of the people, a professor or something like that, pretty prominent guy. And he was involved with probably the government. And, let's just say groups. He was involved with groups. That was into some real heavy shit. Real heavy shit. And because of the gifts she had, they seen her coming like a mile away. They already had their eye on her when she came to the school. She only got into the school because people wanted her to go there, if you know what I mean. Like, she would have never even got in or got a scholarship or anything if it wasn't for her gifts. So she thought she made the choice. She thought she chose these things in her life, but she was being steered. Down to who her fucking roommate was. The people she dated. I mean, it was like being steered. That's the best way I can put that. She didn't know it till she knew it. By the time she knew it, it's too late. It's in too deep. So she ends up like going with this professor and shit, and like doing these different experiments, and basically ends up getting really fucked up. Really fucked up from messing with the dead. Opens herself up to something really bad, and gets involved in a really dark cult, and all this, and had some very, very terrible and traumatic experiences. Experienced depression for a long time afterwards. Because I don't know if you guys, I know you do. I don't know why I'm saying, I don't know if you know, when I know, like my audience knows. You guys know that if somebody's like really good, really gifted, has a really strong consciousness, if you have sex with them or sleep with them, you connect to them in a different way. This is why I don't sleep around. And you can really, really make a person's life a living fucking hell, is what you can do. Because once you tie yourself to a person in that way, and you open yourself up to a person in that way, depending on the strength of the connection, they're there. They're with you. Because you're astrally connected now in a different type of way. It's different than me and you just being friends, shaking hands and shit. I can do things to you, and I can get in your head. I can get in your head deep if I want to. But it's going to take a lot. I'm going to have to traumatize you and, pull a bunch of repetition and, fucking get you in a Stockholm Syndrome type of situation. Like, I'm going to have to bash you in, basically, right? To get in there real good. And stick. And even so, I'll only stick as long as you want me to. Eventually, you'll get me out of there. But when you sleep with somebody, there's not a whole lot of effort that's required. And if you do put in effort and you're like a super powerful occultist and you know what you're doing and you're evil, you're a motherfucker, and I've experienced this too. You can dig deep into a person's subconscious, into their psyche. You can burrow down in there so goddamn deep that it may take them years. They may never get you out. Because you're connected in another way when you have sex, too. And once he did, he had her. And when he had her, he manipulated her. He used her for all of his projects and experiments, and he got her hurt. Really bad. Got her tortured. Really bad. Got her oppressed. Really bad. And a bunch of attachments. Really bad. And put her life on the line. Because once you get involved with a lot of that shit, and you know too much, there's no coming out of that no more, You keep your mouth shut about it, or, someone's going to shut your mouth for you, basically, right? Like, that's how it is. And what's sad is a person like her got brought into something so serious, something, high-ranking government officials and fucking high-ranking members of cults and things like this, and you get so deep, and she was walked into it. To me, that's unfair. That's kind of what happened to me too. Through the YouTube and shit like that, and that's why we bonded, basically. And she used it to capitalize on me, honestly. Hurt people. I never slept with her, though. So, that was my benefit. I did break out of that. I know people whose children have been patsies in different things. I know people that were just married into the CIA, but, things like that. Their entire families were part of it. High-ranking military and corporations and shit. And the reason that a lot of the stuff that was happening to me back then was because of that. Because I was being walked into something like what happened to her. They were using my gifts and my abilities against me at first. Using them to harm me, to scare me, to try to shut me up, But then it goes beyond that, It goes beyond that. They might take an interest in you and then want to just see what they can do with you. It's like a fucking new car or something to these people. And that's what they did with me. It's not like I chose it either. You don't know what's always going on when it's going on. You're not always aware of it when it's happening. Usually after the fact. But it got to the point to where all my friends were fake. I didn't have one real friend in the world. Everybody was sent to me. Everyone. I'd say a good portion of them were paid to be my friend. Girlfriends too. All of them. You know, it's like, I should have fucking known. I should have known when I'm like banging nothing but supermodels. You know? I should have known then, like, something was wrong. You know? I should have known then, like, what the fuck's going on? But I've always had pretty girlfriends, so I didn't think nothing about it, man. You know? But they would try to set me up for crimes that I didn't commit. I mean, like, bad crimes. Like, try to get me locked away for the rest of my fucking life type of crimes. You know? And they'll use whatever your weakness is. Mine was drugs, so that's what they would use, you know? You know, like, trying to get me to sell drugs or something. You know, it's like I never have done, you know, been into that. So, you know, and I'm not like a fucking molester or a rapist or anything like that. I don't hurt people, so they had a hard time framing me for shit, you know? So, that's what they would do. They would use different women, you know, and they would find out things about me. They would psychologically profile my ass too, you know. That way they would know how to approach me. I'm a really weird cat. You know, anybody who's ever talked to me or met me knows, like, I'm weird. I'm different, you know. And I'm weird and I'm different because of what I've been through. It's not like I was just born a fucking weirdo. I mean, I've always been a little different than everybody else, but not, you know, they created this monster. And it's through trauma, you know, and I used to feel sorry for myself and have a very, very hard time processing and dealing with it because I don't know nobody who's been traumatized like I have by them. But I don't know everybody. I'm sure there's way worse. There's people who's died from this stuff or killed themselves as a result. So, I mean, I know there's people who's had it worse. But never as intense, as long, as persistent as they've been with me. I should say that. And there's many different varieties. You got what's called street theater. It started off like doing shit like that. Like they would drive past my house 5 times a day, same color car, and holler the same phrase. What? Who the fuck does that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's part of like throwing you off, destabilizing you, consciously scaring you, gaslighting you and shit. So eventually I met this guy through that girl. You know, and she kept trying to get me to do these fucking weird, I don't want to say weird. She kept trying to get me to do these like transcendental meditation exercises with her. You know. And I'd done a few exercises with her on the phone because I was curious, especially back then. I was curious. I'm still curious now. And I'll try anything now, do anything now, but just not recklessly like I was in the past. Like I would have to be in person with you to do some shit now. But I backed out of one of them because like I went to like I'd never tapped into something like that. It was myself, but I'd never used my consciousness in that type of way and seen that kind of power. It scared me because she was in there too. And I didn't want her to wreck me like everybody had wrecked me up until that point. So I wouldn't do it with her anymore. Well, she ends up bringing this guy around. Very well known in the spiritual community, by the way. Very well known. I guarantee a lot of you in this chat know him. Honestly, and that's what's crazy about it. I'm not going to say names, and if you ask me, I wouldn't tell you. But there's and this just goes to show that all the people that are in the communities and shit aren't who you think they are. A lot of them are just people that have been put there. I think, this is my opinion, I think to collect data and information on people that, let's say, are dissidents, or they consider dissidents, or probably on some type of watch list, and if you ever went to a fucking Facebook group or a Planet X Facebook group or whatever, you'll notice the same exact thing. The moderators or administrators or whatever, they're not real, legit, or genuine people that are about Planet X. They're there to filter information. They're there to push out the good shit, the truth, and allow all the goofy shit through. You know what I mean? To silence, ban, and mute all the real voices, And same thing in spiritual communities. You guys will notice there'll be people, I'll be on a roll, man, fucking crushing a video, crushing a topic. And somebody will come into the chat, start trolling and shit. That's fake, and that's usually one of those asshats. That's not usually a regular person, is what I'm trying to say. They're paid to do these things. Paid to troll. Paid to dox. Paid to do this shit. They may even act stupid and shit, but a lot of times there's nothing stupid about the person. They're just acting. Paid to come into a community and be friendly with everyone so they can find out all your names and find out who's a fucking, if you're in any illegal activity and shit. And what's sad is if they can't find something bad about you, they'll make it up. They'll make it up. I shit you not, guys. Most of them will make it up. If they can't find you doing something wrong, they'll lie on you, or they'll try to entrap you in something wrong to justify their spying on you, or justify their doxing you, or cyberbullying you, which is fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts. Minions, agents is what I call them. So this guy sends me a video, and this fucking video, it was talking about super soldiers. Super soldiers. Now, I told you guys when I was 19 years old, I enlisted into the Navy, and I was in the delayed entry program for a year, right? And I got hurt and was discharged and was given a top secret clearance, though, and got to meet the commander because of my intelligence scores. So this thing was talking about super soldiers, and that the targeted individual stuff was part of a super soldier program, right? And this is how they come at you too, by the way. Everything is some fucking fantastical story to fucking basically get you to go along with the torture. You know what I mean? It's oh, you're a super soldier, so let us hit you with directed energy weapons. You're a super soldier, so, let us track you and trail you everywhere you go, Or I've even seen some of the psychological operations they ran would be, you're one of the 144,000. This is all part of your transfiguration process. Or, God damn, there's been so many of them, guys. But essentially, it's to glorify the process that's taking place. When really you're just being fucking locked on by the government because they deem you a threat because you disagree with their shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I got fired from my job before I went full time. Engineering manager at a hotel chain. Someone calls and said I'm on a domestic terrorist watch list and my boss shake hands me. Like, that's the type of shit that they were doing to me. You guys remember, like, when I was doing call-in shows back when I had Bailey, which Bailey was definitely a plant. But you guys remember when my dad was dying, on the call-in, they would, like, call in and make fun of my dad dying and shit, to try to, break me while I was on the air. That's just one of the things. It's not even one of the worst, even though it's really shitty. Then I went on the Troubled Minds radio back in 2020, and back in 2020, I had the most popularity I'd ever had. I was booming, dude. Things were really doing well, and people were finding me everywhere, too. And that's before they basically, like, silenced and shut my ass down everywhere. But people were, like, getting a piece of this information, and they're like, damn, dude. I mean, nobody knows this. Nobody talks like this. Nobody, it's a real person doing it, too, So I went on Troubled Minds Radio, and I've got the episode on the in the Dropbox. So if you haven't heard that, it's a really good. It's one of my favorites of all time, actually. Donate and support. It's $35 a month, and join the Best Damn Fam, and you can listen to that and so many other great ones in the Best Damn Fam Dropbox. I'll send you the link. You just text the number or email. So I'm on this radio program, and they got fucking huge followers on Facebook and everything. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, yes, my break here. People are about to find us. We're about to blow up, So I go on there, and this is 2 years, 2 years ago, maybe. Right when all the jab shit just started. They were just shutting everything down. And I break the whole fucking agenda down. I told them all of it, Mark of the Beast, Luciferos. I mean, I told them how the whole fucking thing works on this radio program. It was funny. I mean, I knocked it out the goddamn park, and every bit of what I said back then came true. They did it exactly how I said they would, too. So, my chat's full, this person's chat's full, I'm like multi-streaming 10 places, there's so many people listening and watching, and the next thing you know, as I'm doing this, all of a sudden the host says, you guys need to be respectful, calm down, da-da-da-da, starts talking to his audience. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? He says, is this common with you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, my audience is going crazy over you. And not in a good way. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, he said, someone has released your criminal record in my chat. And lo and behold, 2 weeks before that, Bailey, whose dad was high-ranking military, and and at the head of like some corporation. Bailey worked for Patreon too, by the way. Informs me that he had ran a background check on me because he had to, because I was going to be notified. And he even introduced me to the radio host before I went on the radio show. I met them through Bailey. And I go on the radio show and my criminal background gets released into the goddamn chat after I break down the vaccine stuff to discredit basically everything I said and make me look like, like a junkie or a criminal. That way people wouldn't listen. That's just one of the many things. One of the many things. The guy Alex that sent me the video. In the video it talked about they would arrive at your house, and when they did, they'd knock on the fucking door 3 times and say this phrase, and that they were there to fucking initiate you into some cult and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? It's the weirdest video I'd ever seen, dude. And then it talked about how you had to be able to withstand so much pain and shit like that. I'm like, what is this, right? So I'm like, it's the weirdest video ever, but he sends it to me. He's supposed to be my friend. And it talks about all these different settings on the gun that they use, with directed energy gun. Death by 1,000 cuts and all these different settings that were on the gun. Creeped me out. But I thought, there's no fucking possible way, right? I'm not fucking with that. I shit you not, guys. God strike me dead if I'm lying. That fucking night, this is back when I was still doing podcasting and all that too. That night, I just had finished a podcast, and when the podcast was over, or as I was wrapping up, I started hearing this fucking aluminum foil sound at the side door of the house I'm in. Right? It sounded like aluminum foil rattling or something. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Couldn't figure it out. And the next thing you know, this beam of white light came straight through the door and was on my forehead, and it started to burn me. A lot. Burned me so bad. I'm like I didn't even believe what had happened at first. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? What was that? Next thing you know, I'm laying with my children too, guys. My kids were, one of my boys was laying on a couch. The other 2 were laying on each side of me. Next thing you know, so I go lay back down my boys, and I'm like, what, what was that, right? And then they take my children's bodies and rolled them away from me. They rolled one son in one direction away from me on the bed, and they rolled another son away from me in the other direction on the bed with the directed energy weapon, and then hit me with that goddamn thing again right in the forehead, burning me. I freaked out. Obviously, I freaked out. And next thing you know, I heard that knock, like it said in the video, and they made that sound, like they said in the video. This is how well planned out the shit was, man. This is how the links they go to fuck with people. And then next thing you know, I'm checking the cameras and shit. Can't find nobody on the cameras. But yet they keep sending this goddamn thing in my, burning me every time I'm walking back in the room. And then they knock on the side window and somebody laughs and says, ha ha, good night. I'm like, what the fuck? And this is outside of my house, y'all. They hit me with it again. I tried to hide in the laundry room. I couldn't hide nowhere in the house. Everywhere I hid, the gun would find me and hit me. And they kept changing the settings. So 1 second it would be burning me. The next second it would be stabbing me. I mean. And then at one point, because they moved my kids' bodies and I was afraid that they might do something, I gave up. And I just sat in the front room and I let them do it. And they used that goddamn thing on me all night long till the sun come up. And they were able to make my limbs move with it. My eyes blink. They were making me smile and shit, dude, as they were burning the dog shit out of me. And there was tears rolling down my fucking face. But they were making my face smile with the weapon as they were doing it to me. So, have I ever experienced DEWs? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. A lot more than that. A lot more than that. And I always read up and shit, man. Before any of that ever happened to me back in the day, I always read up, on holistic doctors and lawyers that defended the wrong goddamn person or something, and how they'd received threats or they were being targeted. I didn't believe them, man, until it happened to me. I remember this. Yes, Rachel's old school. Rachel does remember. Guys, there was a point in time where it was happening so bad, I would break down during videos. I was being tortured that bad. That bad. And when they do it, they were picking the rabbit up in my house and moving it all the way across the room with a weapon. With a weapon. That's not even, they'd be telling me to kill myself and all kinds of shit. It was so fucked up. And they were gang stalking the dog shit out of me. The dog shit out of me. And then, sending the different handlers to me to be my girlfriends and shit. And, dude, these girls, they act like they were so fucking in love with me. I mean, God, they'd be the best girlfriend I ever had at first. They'd be kind to me, buying me shit, fucking sexing me up. I mean, just anything I wanted, right? And then it's whenever they were, I guess, I don't know if they tell them when it's time. I don't know, They'd flip the switch. And when they did, they would do the cruelest, most mean, terrible things you can think of to a person. Or attempt to completely ruin and destroy your life in every fucking way you can think of. Record you. I've caught girls fucking recording me, videotaping me and shit. It's what? You're supposed to be my girlfriend. Why are you just recording us kicking it? Shit like that. It's what the fuck is going on here? And I've had them try to get me in trouble too. For drugs and shit like that. It's just crazy. And I was with one of them one time, and the OnStar in their fucking car. Like, they come through the OnStar on the car, and there's like, is everything okay? Do you need backup? Like, it was the fucking, like the bitch was the police or something. I never, ever in a million years would think that anyone, for that matter, would care that much about what I'm doing or saying to do that crazy shit. Let alone, right? But that our government and intelligence agencies and military or whatever is involved in all of this. Cults, sometimes it's cults, would go to those great lengths for one fucking person. One person. It's like, why wouldn't you just let a motherfucker live their life? Stay out the way. Like, and I want to stay out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm to the point now to where, like, I want to stay out of the way. I done all my wild fucking screaming. You know, I was Alex Jones in my own version years, you know? It's like I'm on to some whole other shit. Like, I'm just, you know, I'm older and I'm matured and shit. And I've changed a lot now. You know, it's like, but still, yet to this day, you know, still send them to me to this day. You know, the girls and shit. They don't torture me or anything like that anymore, but they do try to fucking fuck with me and shit still. Through my phone and my devices and shit. It's like, it's wild. It's wild. And I don't know why they would even care about me at this point. You know, I've had people send me fucking screenshots and screen recordings of them running my numbers back on YouTube and just all kinds of shit. Like, you guys remember they were labeling all my videos QAnon for forever? It's like, what? Yeah. In case you got famous. Well, they've made sure that will never happen. You know, they've made sure that will never happen. You know, you're a survivor. Yeah. Yeah, I went through a lot. So, I went through a lot. It's made me who I am today. I don't even want to dwell on that. I don't know how I even got into that. Sorry, I went down memory lane there. But this is what I'm saying. I've thought about writing a book about these things. You know. And they'd probably kill me before I ever finish the book. So that's why I haven't written it. But, and plus I don't know. I don't want to like relive negative shit. It really did fuck me up bad. I remember I had a girl who wanted to co-host with me. Really cool person too, man. I was gonna let her, man. I was gonna let her co-host, and this is years ago, before I'd ever had a co-host. And we got to talking about this shit. You know. She'd asked me, you know, like, I was acting weird, basically. I'm like, being weird as fuck. And I'm like, I don't trust you. I didn't trust nothing, guys. I didn't even hug a person for fucking, like, 2.5 years, 3 years. That's how bad they traumatized me. If you want to know, like, how hardcore it can get. I didn't even hug a person for 3 years. Not one. You know. So. Yeah. I mean, they've turned my own families and shit against me and stuff, so. Government scares fucking normies, guys. I'm telling you. Not even normies. Government scares all kinds of people. People you'd never think would do that to you. Would flip on you for nothing. For what? A little bit of money. Because you're scared or because they get in trouble themselves. So then they want to try to, get out of trouble by doing, those kind of things. So, but the girl was asking me, like, what had happened and shit, man. And I remember the first time I had opened up about it, I went to, like, tell her, like, what I had been through. And I had to hang up the phone because I got so goddamn emotional. Like, because I had never really opened up to anybody about it. Like, I fucking cried so hard. I remember, like, I cried so hard. Like, I couldn't even fucking catch my breath type crying type shit. I was like, damn. All from, just telling somebody about something. It's like, I didn't let her know that. But, like, I went to talk, I'm like, I couldn't even talk. It's like I had to hang up the phone. I remember I just let it out, dude. And it was like a year or so after that, too. It was like the craziest part. It's like it had done been over for a year and a half. But I held it in that whole time. It's like, I don't know. And then somebody asked me about it, and I finally felt comfortable enough to share it. And I lost it, dude. I had all that shit pent up in me. It's crazy, man. Crazy. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, dude, yes, yeah. Well, you gotta, like, get that shit out there, man, yeah. Like, if you keep that in, yeah, it done a lot of damage, man, I was, like, clean as fuck for a long time, and I got back on drugs from them fucking TI in my ass and shit, like, yeah, lots of they've split up all types of relationships. I mean, it's been fucked up, man. It's been fucked up. So, there's like a lot of things, man. A lot of things, But we all go through different trials, tribulations in life, And I'm not here to tell you my experience is better or worse than yours, I feel like each person, in their life, we each go through different shit. So, like, what's hard for you may be easy for me. What's easy for me may be hard for you, and vice versa. And, like, in your life, you have your own version of your own experience. Whether it's you being molested as a child or just whatever. You know what I mean? That, like, that maybe you can relate on, like with trauma and shit like that. Like, we've all been through things, and everything we go through makes us who we are today. And it's not about what we've been through, but it's about, like, what we learn from it, how we adapt to it, and how we overcome it. And the person we are today, that's what it's about. It's not about nothing else. And it does no good, in my opinion, sitting and dwelling on those things and shit like that. That's why I don't ever sit and talk about that on the channel. I have no desire to. I'd rather focus on the positive, the good, and all of that. Of course, there's, fucking still censoring and shadow banning and all that. Of course. But if we maintain positive, we can amplify the vibration of positivity, and we can transcend anything. We can overcome anything. Especially if we do it together. And we stick with each other, and we watch out for each other. Take care of each other. We can do anything. So, I am going to leave it at that. Actually, I'm not going to get into any more. We've been going for a while. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching tonight. I appreciate all of you. Everything that you guys do for me. Everything that you guys do for me. I am so grateful. So humbled too. Like, far more than you probably ever know. I'm so grateful for just the experience, dude. The experience. You know, really I am. Please donate, support to the channel. That is how we are able to keep things going. That's how we pay the bills. That's also, you know, how I take care of me. So, you know, and the people and things I love in my life. So if you appreciate the work and you appreciate the content, or you just appreciate me, whatever it is, you know, consider donating and supporting today. It's greatly appreciated. And every little bit counts too. So even if you're like, oh, I only, you know, can give $5, it doesn't matter. You know, like, it all adds up, and it's every bit helps and counts, and you're awesome no matter what you give. So don't ever, like, feel like you're not doing enough, or you're not as important because you can't, or whatever. Like, you're all equally important, equally valued, and equally loved by me. So I want you to know that. Yeah. Join the Best Damn Fam. $35 a month. Get access to all the coolness for the month of August. If you haven't, I will not be able to let you participate in the private show tomorrow. I know I said I was going to make it private last time, but I mean it this time. We got to get the donations up, man. We got to get the money up. So, or else we're not going to have a channel. We're not going to have anything. So I'm gonna be homeless, begging with a pot on the street, beating a pot with a spoon. Dancing on a piece of breakdancing on a piece of cardboard and shit. Like, please throw me $1, throw me $20. So yeah, so it's only going to be for those who actually donate and support tomorrow. But private show tomorrow night. Everybody who's interested, you join us on Discord. I will upgrade the roles. I've taken away all the roles. It's going to be like new roles, Best Damn Fam roles. All you do is, if you've donated, supported in the month of August, you mention at John Keane, you know, and then I'll change your role. You just got to remind me if I haven't got to you already. If you join us on Patreon, it upgrades your role automatically. Patreon also, you get a free merch item every 3 months. A new merch item. I believe it's $50 to get, like, the hoodies and t-shirts and shit. But it's gangster, though. So, I mean, a hoodie itself costs $50, so it's fucking well worth it if you get, like, a free hoodie and shirt and shit every 3 months, I think, for $50. But it's up to you. Also, like I said, all those videos, there's over 100 videos. Each one's like 2-3 fucking hours long, too, at least. All the private shows are on the Best Damn Fam Dropbox. Doing the tarot now, extended tarot readings, astrology reports. I mean, everything, man. What else? Oh, yeah, if you want to book a tarot reading, I strongly encourage you to do so, man. Book a tarot reading. They're $50. You cannot beat that. I'm a gangster when it comes to tarot reading, straight up, especially personal readings. They're about 30-45 minutes long, but I will rock your fucking world with one. I promise you. $50, it's well worth it. You just go PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, and then put in the notes tarot reading, and like put your phone number or fucking email, whatever. Or get a soul profile, which is a tarot reading plus I do the gematria of your name. the etymology of your name. I check, well, not check. I do the ley lines on which you were born and shit. What else? We do your numerology, your life path. We do your astrology and how it correlates with current, celestial alignments. It's just fucking action-packed, dog. Meaning of your name. I'm telling you, it's everything, dude. It's a soul profile. It's $100. Same way as a tarot reading. You just go PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, and then put soul profile on there and your number or whatever. So if you get a soul profile, a tarot reading, or you need your links because you joined Best Damn Fam, and you've joined the Best Damn Fam, and you need your links for this month or whatever, for the private links or whatever, then text 513-393-2396. 513-393-2396. And you can also email the Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com. That's the Real Best Damn Podcast at gmail.com. If you need those links, text that number and say links. Or if you booked a tarot reading, text that number, say, hey, and I do the tarot reading within 24 hours. So if you get the tarot reading, and you actually, do the tarot reading now, say you buy one now, I will get you within 24 hours. And I can do it one of two ways. We can either go on Discord, and we'll sit down and do it on video, and I'll share the screen so you can see, fucking your cards and all that. Or I can make you a personalized video, where it's still a personal reading, it's your tarot reading, but I can upload a personalized video, and you'll get it within 24 hours from the time you pay. Soul profile takes 3 days. You got to give me 3 days. I might be back at you within 24 hours. I'm not saying I won't, but I'm saying it takes 3 days because there's a lot of homework involved, and I want to make sure I do it right. I want you to be fucking blown away. Oh my God, dude, this is crazy. I never knew this much about my fucking self. This is amazing. So, all right, guys. I think that's it. Yeah. Also, big ups to y'all who joined us on the YouTube channel memberships. All you guys that are members and stuff, man. I'm trying to come up with more creative ways to hook y'all up. I appreciate